It was the beginning of a new chapter. Mike and I, driven by youthful audacity and a tight budget, had just moved into our new rental. The neighborhood was peaceful, save for the house across the street. Abandoned and forlorn, it stood like a relic of forgotten times. I remember the first night, lying in bed, my gaze fixated on the dark silhouette of that house. Its broken windows gaped like hollow eyes, and the unkempt garden waved in the wind like the hands of a drowning man. Mike, ever the skeptic, laughed off my unease. "It's just an old house, nothing more," he said, flipping through a magazine. But something about it felt inherently wrong, as if it harbored a silent scream. One evening, as twilight painted the sky in shades of purple and orange, I saw it. A face, pale and gaunt, peered through the upper window of the abandoned house. I rubbed my eyes, but it was gone. The next day, I approached our neighbor, Alfred. A man of few words, he tended his roses with more affection than he bestowed upon people. When I mentioned the face in the window, his hand stilled, and he looked at me with a peculiar expression before resuming his gardening without a word. Mike and I decided to investigate. Armed with flashlights and a mix of fear and excitement, we crossed the street as night fell. The house loomed before us, more menacing than ever. The front door creaked open with a reluctant groan. Inside, the air was stale, and our flashlights cast eerie shadows on the peeling wallpaper. "Hello," Mike called out, his voice swallowed by the silence. As we ascended the rickety staircase, a chill ran down my spine. The house felt alive, watching us with unseen eyes. At the top, we hesitated before the room where I had seen the face. The door swung open with a nudge. The room was empty, save for a layer of dust and an old rocking chair. Then, a whisper, soft and sinister, filled the air. We couldn't make out the words, but the intent was clear. We weren't welcome. We fled, tripping over our own feet, our hearts pounding in our ears. Behind us, the whisper grew into a cacophony of voices, as if the house itself was screaming. Outside, the cool night air felt like a salvation. We didn't stop running until we reached our own door. Inside, we locked everything and sat in silence, trying to process what had just happened. The following day was a blur. We spoke little, each lost in our own thoughts. The house across the street seemed to watch us, its windows like accusing eyes. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every creak and groan of our own house sent shivers down my spine. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, listening to the sounds of the night. In the early hours of the morning, I heard it, a faint whisper, just outside my window. I froze, my heart racing. It couldn't be, I thought. But the whispers grew louder, more insistent. Mike heard it too. We met in the hallway, our faces pale. "We have to leave," he said, and I couldn't agree more. The house across the street had reached out to us, and we couldn't stay. By dawn, we were packed. Our landlord, confused by our sudden departure, didn't ask too many questions. We were grateful for that. As we loaded the car, I took one last look at the abandoned house. For a moment, I thought I saw the curtain in the upper window flutter, as if someone was watching us. The drive away from the neighborhood was silent. Both of us were lost in our own worlds, trying to make sense of the fear and the relief that battled within us. In the weeks that followed, we settled into a new place, far from that street and its haunting presence. But the memories lingered, like a cold hand on the back of my neck. Sometimes, in the quiet of the night, I still hear whispers. They're faint, like echoes of a bad dream, but they remind me of the house across the street. I wonder sometimes about the face in the window. Was it a warning, a plea for help, or something more sinister? I guess I'll never know. Mike and I don't talk about it much. It's like a shared nightmare we've both decided to wake up from. But in the depths of the night, when the world is silent, I can't help but feel that something from that house followed us, lurking just beyond the edge of light.